wanted to launch a probe into governance concerns around the Vice-Chancellor Mamokgethi Phakeng and the Chair of the Council Babalwa Ngonyama. Instead, the majority, it was a small margin, but the majority of members of the Council then voted to rather launch an investigation into the UCT Senate. Those who had wanted the initial governance investigation went public with their concerns. To discuss, we're joined by the President of the UCT Academics Union, Professor Kelley Moult. Professor, thank you for being with us. So just can we clarify, you are essentially standing with the members of the Council who want to investigate governance, which would put the Vice-Chancellor and the Chair of the Council under the spotlight.
Hi, thanks for having me on the show. The Academics Union is standing for governance processes to be restored at the University of Cape Town. We have issued our letter of demand to do two things, and the first is for the Chair of Council, the Deputy Chair of Council, and the Vice-Chancellor to recuse themselves from any further involvement in the events because of the conflict of interest, and for Council then to adopt the motion that was before it at the time of the vote on the 6th of October, and to restore the dignity of the processes of Senate. In other words, to respect the fact that Senate in and of itself has a duly constituted process that suggested that 10 members of Senate deliberate and propose to Senate at a special meeting the way forward. And we believe that that process needs to be allowed to move forward unhindered.
All right, so the initial of the pair not recusing themselves, this was when they voted against an investigation into themselves. So that's been controversial. For you, is that a clear-cut legal issue? They should have recused themselves.
Absolutely. For us, there is no question that somebody who is implicated in a set of events which are going to be investigated need to recuse themselves. This is an issue, the conflict of interest issue runs against the Higher Education Act, runs against the UCT statute, runs against UCT's own conflict of interest policy, and is well established in the common law. There is no legal question that that people who are under investigation who cannot possibly take part in any of the processes that seek to undertake that investigation.
The chair of the council did release a statement over the weekend. So this was after the initial controversial meeting, saying that she would, in fact, call for an independent investigation led by a retired judge that would look both into the governance concerns concerning herself, as well as the UCT Senate. So she said she's happy for that to go ahead. Why is that not satisfactory for you?
So the problem with the statement by the Chair of Council is that it's not immediately clear that the Chair of Council has the authority in and of itself to backtrack on what at the time is a decision of Council. The Chair's position also doesn't indicate that she doesn't intend to be involved, nor does the Vice-Chancellor nor the Deputy Chair of Council intend to be involved. And for us, that is simply not sufficient to rectify the governance issue, which is at the heart of what we have taken issue over. For them to remain involved in any form would be counter to all of the statutes and the law which I mentioned previously. For them to remain involved would be to decide the nature and form of the investigation, when it happens, who oversees the investigation, and I think it's pretty clear that runs counter to all principles of good governance.
Professor, let's talk about what is at the heart of this. It's reported about the governance concerns, but let's go back to the beginning. So the Senate heard a letter from Liz Lange, Deputy Vice-Chancellor, former Deputy Vice-Chancellor, and she read out, she wrote a letter saying that the Council Chair, Ngonyama, had misrepresented the circumstances around her departure from UCT. Apparently, Phakeng and Ngonyama said it was for personal reasons. In that letter, she said she had in fact been forced out. Is that the big issue here? Do you and other academics believe that this prominent academic was forced out? Is it about one relationship that went wrong or a wider issue? Professor, can you hear me?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. I think I lost signal there for a second.
All right, it was a very long question. Liz Lange and the original letter that was read out that she wrote saying she was forced out. Do you agree that she was forced out? Is that an issue that academics are concerned about? And is it only about Liz Lange, or are there broader concerns here?
So I think there are broader concerns, and there are the concerns that certainly we are concerned about is about what was represented to Senate in motivating for the renewal of the Vice-Chancellor's term, as well as the apparent instability in the senior executive. I think the issue is that it needs to be investigated further. And the departure of Associate Professor Lange and what was known at what time to the Chair of Council needs to be the subject of that investigation. From the Academics Union's perspective, who is in management, who is the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Teaching and Learning, and being able to have robust debate about the events that relating to the academic project fall firmly within the Academics Union's purview, as it does Senate. And so for us, the processes that Senate decided on, which was to appoint a committee of 10 Senate members to advise Senate on a way forward, needs to be allowed to unfold. Whether an investigation comes out as part of that is still to be decided. But those processes need to be allowed to go on unhindered.
Final quick question. There have been reports, there have been suggestions that this is about undermining Black women in leadership, that they are being targeted. Is there any racial intent behind what you're doing and what other staff members are doing?
This issue is one of the issues in my tenure in the union that has had our union members the most unanimously behind an issue, and that is because this is a governance issue. There are certainly times at our institution where questions about race can legitimately be asked, but this is not one of them. And to reduce this to an issue of race is to muddy the waters and to introduce red herrings that serve to move us away from the very real governance questions. So no, in short, this is not a race issue. This is a question of governance.
Thank you very much. The President of the UCT Academics Union, Professor Kelley Moult.